You're so vain that you think this song is about you. You're so vain. Yo, 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 here we are. Okay, we're live. It's happening. It's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, as always. Just got off doing a live program this weekend for the first time in several months. And I got to say, it was really good to be back out there. Caught a touch of a sunburn, so I may look red here. I'm not entirely sure as to how my complexion's looking right now. But you know, it's like you go outside, you get this irradiation, you get these burns. Where's the privilege? You know, I've been hearing about this, and where's the privilege? I just get a fucking disease. I can't even go outside. You get cancer. So, anywho, got a wide variety of things in my mind today, but, you know, I want to talk to you. You, my beloved friends, who have made me feel so loved throughout the years, and whom I personally love to assist in being less of a dumbass. You know, because dumbassery is abundant these days. Dumbassery is prevalent. And in fact, one could even make an argument that dumbassery is the norm. But, you know, I'm doing my small part to change that, one step at a time. So David here, he says, what is the best way to end a relationship? Well, I've ended many relationships. I've also had many relationships ended on me over the course of the years. And I've tried many, many ways to go about it. And I'd say this. Let's just talk about how you should not end a relationship first off. I think that a lot of people, and I've been this person, I've seen people do this as well. They lack, well, first of all, they lack the courage, I guess you might say, to actually end it, right? To end it of their own accord. And it's pretty screwed up because, you know, basically it's an aversion to bad feelings, to confrontation. Because, you know, if you've ever read the book Crucial Conversations, which I think is a great book on, you know, conflict communication, or just sort of like uncomfortable conversation. I mean, that's why it's called Crucial Conversations, right? These sort of uncomfortable conversations where you're coming into conflict with someone else. And people will tend to go to one of two approaches. They'll go towards violence or silence, right? And to be honest, I feel like the majority, at least in my experience, the majority of people will go to avoidance, aka silence. So what, and again, like I said, I've done this before. What they'll tend to do is they will tend to either just kind of be an asshole and treat the other person poorly in an attempt to make them take the initiative and leave your ass. And I did this many a time, but here's the problem. That process of attrition, that could take a long time. That could take years. And a lot of times, you know, again, it takes an act of personal leadership to bite the bullet, move towards the perceived danger, move towards the uncomfortable conversation, and actually have that. I mean, look, I remember when I was 19 years old, I was in a relationship with somebody much older than me. And, you know, she was 29, I was 19, met her at work, you know, social circles type situation, grew closer together over a period of several months, ended up moving in together. It was like a very violent relationship, emotionally, spiritually, physically. We throw plates at each other. You know, cuss each other out. It is a very volatile relationship, let's just say. And, you know, we were living together. I knew this is not good for me, right? This sucks. But I stayed with that person for 4 years. For 4 years. Now, why would you do that? Why would somebody do that? Guesses in the chat, perhaps? You want to take a little guess? Why would you do that? Why would you stay with somebody who isn't supporting you, who's actually debilitating you, who's poison dripping you, essentially, as one, you know, might say, for several years? Any guesses? Anyone want to make a guess? No? Well, I'll tell you what I believe it is. It's just general scarcity. It's a lack of abundance. And In fact, let me switch my mic up here. This is like kind of a crappy mic. On some boomer shit right now. So, fucked up mic. But but anywho, I stayed with this person for many years out of a sense of scarcity, because I figured, like, look, if I were to break up with her, I do not have the ability to go and find somebody of equal or higher value in, slash attractiveness slash whatever, in a reasonably short time frame. I'll be up the creek without a paddle, and I'll just have to wait until I get lucky again. Hopefully, cast adrift in the sea of singledom, hoping I'm lucky again with someone from work or someone from my social circle or some other such nonsense. And yes, so I stayed with her until essentially, she moved out. She moved away from my fucking ass, dumped my fucking ass, and like moved to Los Angeles. And that was really, for me, that was the impetus for me to start investigating this stuff, because I'm like, look, I don't want to be in that position ever again, that scarcity position, right? Where again, I'm just like clinging to whatever life will throw at me. So, and then again, I didn't have the balls also. So that's why it's important that you need abundance, right? And how do you get abundance? Well, again, in the case of this, you got to learn how this stuff actually works. Don't look at how you'd like it to work. Look at how it actually works, okay? Because that's a huge thing that we always talk about. Guys, they want it to be, sounds like somebody's eating your mic. Let's have a look. I don't know, it doesn't look like it's peaking. It's clipping. All right, let me just turn it down then. How's that? Is that better? Is that better? The mic? Okay. So in any case, what was I talking about there? These fucking technical difficulties. In other words, you got to learn, like, so this is a big thing that I see. I see people come on program, and again, I saw it this weekend because I started doing boot camps again, and which was phenomenal. All of the students met new friends and went to a second location with the new friends, because again, this shit ain't that difficult, right? We can make it complicated. We can make it very complicated, or we can try to make it as simple as possible, because ultimately, like the great philosopher from the 20th century, Cyndi Lauper, said, girls just want to have fun. So, anywho, you'll get these guys on program, though, and you'll suggest that they do something. You're like, okay, look, here's how these types of relationships typically develop very swiftly. Here's how you make it happen. Here's some techniques. Here's some approaches that you can employ. Here's something that you might want to say. Here's something that you might want to do. Here's something that you might want to suggest in order to kind of move it along. And then you'll get these people who are like, well, it doesn't seem like me. That's just not me. It's not me. Well, all right. Okay, but here's the thing. What you're doing right now, it doesn't fucking work. What you're doing now, it doesn't fucking work. So maybe, being what you consider to be you, could use some augmentation. Let's just say that. I always laugh because I think it's like, someone comes to a boxing gym, and they're like, okay, so here's what you're gonna do. Now I want you to punch me in the face. Like, oh, I don't want to punch someone in the face. That's not me. It's like, well, that's what it is. That's what this is. Why are you here? That's what this is. So again, I caution you to not look at how you'd like this stuff to work. Look at how it actually works and familiarize yourself with sort of the conventions surrounding that kind of relationship. Because look, again, I say this all the time and it bears repeating. If you just want to have a banal conversation with a cashier, that doesn't require any technique. If you want to like give a report on the scores from last quarter to your boss, that doesn't require technique. If you want to have, again, say, hey, what's up to your neighbor, that doesn't require technique. If you want to sell, close sales, if you want to negotiate, if you want to get intimate with someone you just met in a very short time period, these types of interactions, these require skills, right? These require technique, these require practice, these require precision, these require control. But of course, that's only one element of it, right? And this is why my teachings these days, I've kind of honed it. I mean, because look, I've done technique to death. I can teach technique in my sleep.
Like probably literally. I could teach you technique in my sleep. I could be like, well, this is, and then social hook point. I could mumble some gibberish in my sleep that would actually make sense and get you success. However, one thing I saw is they know this technique, but then they can't capture people's attention, or they're just the vibe, for lack of a better term, is just very off-putting when they first go up. In other words, I want you to look at all your interactions through the following lens. Okay, ask yourself, when I go up and speak to these people, am I A, trying to weasel my way into their fun, right? Like they're having a good time, and I'm gonna go up and be like, excuse me, ladies, may I join the fun? In fact, if you said it like that, that would probably actually work. But if that's the vibe, it's like, hello, please buoy up my emotional state. You're having a good time. I'm not. I need some sort of validation. I need to make it work. I need to crack the set. I need to hook it, or else I am diminished. I am lessened. And so you better, please give me that validation. Again, anytime you're sort of like leeching energy or asking them to give you some sort of energy, generally it's not going to be well received. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but generally it's not going to be well received. So ask yourself, am I A, trying to weasel into their fun, or am I B, already enjoying myself and enthusiastic to be there, having a good time in some way, shape, or form, amusing myself, self-amusing, as someone said in the chat, and then I'm bringing that or adding that, right? Now, how do you add that energy? Well, ultimately, look, we're physical beings. We communicate with each other. We have 5 senses, generally, hopefully. You're not like, smell me. Hey, smell me, bro. Right? You're not, hopefully not at least. So that again, and generally we're not using sight, sound, shit, God, what's wrong with me today? Sight, sound, taste, smell, touch. So again, that basically this leaves us with, we have sight, and how are we communicating through sight? We're communicating through specific emotional messages that are being sent by your eye contact and the muscles of the face surrounding the eyes that are generating like small, again, packets of emotional information, okay, that everyone intuitively understands. Some more than others, some better than others, right? And then, of course, sound, through which we're not just conveying logical meanings, but also the tonality, right? Again, there's an interesting potential for intramode incongruence there. What you're saying and how you're saying it can be, they can be congruent with each other, they can be supportive of each other, they can be contradictory. So again, that the so-called vocal tonality, I think gets short shrift. It's very often overlooked. And then, of course, then you've got touch. You've got proximity, movement through space, gesture, touch. And so again, basically, you need to understand, if you want to go up and have a nice vibe, number one, you've got to understand that how to push energy through those 3 channels, the face, the voice, the body. And again, let me just call up my little, what do I call this thing? The energy levels, right? So if we're talking about energy levels here, from inward and downward, like at the most inner ephemeral energies here, like universal energy chi, up through the intuitive process, the emotional process, coloring things, the intellect here with the mind, which is causing, it's either a bridge or a barrier between these inner and outer, modes, I guess, for lack of a better term, we'll call them. And again, the mind with its intellectual functions of judgment is typically, for most people, it's going to act as a barrier. And it's going to, sort of be the bouncer that's preventing those energies from finding external expression through the face, voice, and body. So that's very, very interesting, because this is why people have an ability to create a good vibe. Because over time, through what my friend Julian might call trauma, we have come to understand that emotional expression is potentially threatening to us. When we're asking for any sort of increase in the energy being pushed through the face, voice, and body externally, that could cause us a problem. So then the mind comes into play with sort of like judgmental factors of control, and then typically it'll call the body into play with some kind of physical tension to shut that down. And this is why you feel stifled, when you go up. So over time, and again, for many years, for like 15 years when I was teaching, I just knew that like the guy stifled. The dude stifled. And then even with very experienced teachers, the feedback we would give, to in an attempt to fix this was very often subjective and vague. Like, you seem stifled. I want to see more emotional color, stuff like that. And really all this is doing is just making the student feel more judged, which is what caused this problem in the first place. But at the same time, you're not giving him any clear descriptive means to make the desired change. So my focus the past couple of years has been like really honing in and getting very specific with the way that these criticisms or this feedback is verbalized in order to make that change and growth available to you, right? So how do you teach somebody how to vibe, in other words? So I think that's very, very important. I'm breaking up. For fuck's sake. So in any case, hey Jeff, would love to be able to see you on Instagram again. What's your guru rank, Jeff? My guru rank, these things are difficult to quantify. I think it's probably somewhere between, it's definitely over 9,000 as the meme goes. It may be somewhere, these things, again, very hard to quantify. It could be Saitama level. It could be Goku level. It could be a dark side, non-avatar level, like his true form. There's a lot of potential things. By the way, I was able to check out this Snyder cut the other day. It was like 4 hours. I had to watch it twice. I was shocked. I was shocked at how different it was from the original, or from the Justice League, as it's being colloquially referred to. And I'm like, damn, that Justice League shit, the 2017 version sucked. And I was particularly chagrined by how dirty they did Cyborg. I was like, damn, dude, like, because here in this one, and if you haven't seen the Snyder one, no spoilers, but like, they give him a very rich backstory, and you feel for his pain and his transformation and his arc is very clearly, in many ways, he's kind of the heart and soul of the film. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But then in like the 2017 one, they completely cut that, and his entire arc was basically like, Black Robot. Hi, I'm Black Robot. I'm like, dude, that's no wonder that actor, Ray Fisher, no wonder he was so furious. Like, okay, now it all makes sense. Black Robot. They made him into Black Robot. So, that was literally the entire character. So that's fucked up, man. Shit ain't right. But, oh shit. Okay, so, and Justice League. So, yeah, Snyder Cut. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it a great deal. So, if you got some time, and again, I know. Look, I watched another movie the other night. What was it called? The fuck was it? Last Stop of the Tour. It was the one where it's about David Foster Wallace, that like interview. And it's funny because, if you've read David Foster Wallace, like Infinite Jest, it's a book about addiction, and you're like, wow, was this guy an addict? And he had, he didn't drink and stuff like that. But in that movie, Dave Wallace, he talks about how his real addiction is to television. And he's like terrified of television because he didn't even have one in his home, because he knew if he had it in his home, he would just watch it all the time. And it's like, what are you doing when it's like, what's the difference between, say, television and masturbation? Well, at least with masturbation, you're fucking doing something. Like you're having muscular movements. Whereas with like television, you're just like watching these series of images flashed across your head. Or, although to be fair, it's like with masturbation, like you're ostensibly playing some sort of film in your head, connecting with this fantasy person that doesn't exist. And, these things are fine, of course, in moderation. But when you're doing it 20 times a day, that's when it becomes, a problem. And again, as Julian said in a recent live, when you're checking the price of Bitcoin 15 times a day, or your GME, apes together strong, and hoping to go to the moon. and you're just like reloading it, yeah, then it's a bit of an issue. So yeah, I would recommend watching the Snyder Cut if you've got the time, but make sure you do something else with your day as well. You know. Let's have a look here. So, what are some other things that you guys want to get into? Again, my intention with these lives is just to pop on here. And by the way, I was just kind of fired up because, like I said, we did a boot camp this past weekend. It was my first one in 6 months because of the closures and so forth here in California. We had to go to the park, and so after daylight savings, the park. Well, now it gets dark till like 7. And damn, it's just been a ball and a hell of a time. I mean, it felt so good to get back into that. It felt just like a true privilege and honor to be able to help people one-on-one like that in real time and see the transformation happen right before your eyes, so to speak. And really to kind of vicariously experience that feeling when you see in the student's eyes like, oh my God, it's real. And it's like easy. In fact, one of the students, he had success and he was like, was that a plant? Was that a plant? Like as though I have placed like co-conspirators in the park, like paid people in the park to respond well to them. There's like, no, mind you, there's like 1,000 people in the park, and like he's gonna go up to that. Well, it's like, what are you thinking? Like that's how far outside of his reality this stuff was that somebody would actually like him, that it had to be like a plant. Right? I'm like, dude, bro, that's just way more trouble than it would even be. And yes, I've heard of like unscrupulous actors in this business doing similar things and stuff like that, which always boggled my fucking mind. Because it's like, why would you do that when you could just go outside and like talk to like an actual, like, it just, why? What is it just, like, not to mention like, again, the ethical considerations of that and how like unprofessional it is. But again, so just to see him realize this shit's easy. It's not that fucking, it's not frightening. I mean, yeah, maybe it is, but it's like, ultimately, I mean, it's pretty easy when you know what to do, right? When you actually know what to do, it's pretty easy. So in any case, yeah, it felt great being out there. I got some more programs, some more bootcamp programs coming up in the near future. FYI, if you ever wanted to get down and dirty and get your elbows in the mud and be coached by a real motherfucker, as the saying goes. Again, somebody who's been doing this 18 and a half years every single weekend. And as I like to say, if you're 18 and you don't know who your father is, I might be him. But yeah, so, and yeah, exactly, way more complicated. So, yeah, I got another program coming up here, I believe on the 9th of April. And then, here, let me just call out my thing here. So yeah, April 9th, and then the following week, I will be doing a program in Miami, Florida, where, as you can see, the Joker jumped on a car the other day and waved a flag and proclaimed that COVID was over. And so, so April 16th through 18th, and then I'm going to be in Los Angeles, California, May 21st through the 23rd, and then I'm heading to New York City in early July. So, yeah, I think in the description here, I'll post a link to that if you were interested in getting on one of those programs, because they've been just a blast, a fucking hell of a time. So let's see, what else do we want to get into here? I do have to go. I am doing in a couple minutes here. I'm doing a debrief with one of the students who had to leave early. And so, checking the charts is my job at the moment. At least you're burning calories. I masturbate to television. Is universal energy real? Okay, that's an interesting question. What does that mean? Is universal energy real? I mean, well, what is energy? What is that? What is energy? It's matter in different vibratory states, right? We know that from Einstein, from quantum mechanics. Like, yeah, of course, energy is real. What the hell are you talking about? Is energy real? Now, here's the interesting part, though. We don't really have a lot of agreed upon names for this, if you know what I mean. We don't, like, when we get into these kind of higher sort of transcendent energies, we don't really, again, some might call it chi, some might call it life force, some might just get very scientific with it and call it energy. But again, we draw from this. We obviously draw from this. On the most simplistic level, you consume food, your body breaks it down into energy that you employ to run your brain and to make your muscles move, right? So again, I don't really think, I mean, again, I'm very loath to use those kind of terminologies because I think it does have sort of a new agey, sort of hippy dippy connotation to it a lot of the time. But ultimately, I mean, energy is real, right? We're matter, we're energy, and so again, we draw from this so-called universal energy. And then again, our brain, there's an interesting theory called the holographic brain theory, where it seems that our memory is disseminated through the entire structure somehow, which is, I think, where, again, a lot of people suspect, this is how our intuitive functions operate, right? Because your mind can only work with information that's consciously available to it in the moment, right? A memory that's been called forth and dredged up, something you're seeing or hearing in front of you, but your intuition can work with information that's not consciously available to you at the moment. It operates on a subconscious level, and again, your attention or a problem or a situation might sort of prompt that intuition to, again, draw from various memories, constellations of different memories, and arrive at an impulse of something to say or something to do or a solution to that particular issue that's presenting itself. But the thing is, a lot of people don't trust intuition. Intuition's been discredited largely in our educational system, thanks in large part to the amazing success of rationalism, empiricism, and science. But again, rationalism isn't always good. Look at the term rationalization. What is that? That's a pejorative term that we use to talk about faulty thinking, or to justify bad guesses, or things of that nature. So I think that we really do need to start to learn how to open up to intuitive impulses. Now, you cannot call forth intuition. You can't cajole it. You can't browbeat it into doing work for you. But you can exercise your ability to access and allow it. Again, allow it access to the external communicator. So that's when you're not going to run out of things to say anymore. And again, it's very interesting because I see this stuff, play out in front of me very viscerally in front of, with the students every single weekend. And I'm like, look, we've got to exercise that ability to allow, right? So let's have a look down here. And then, of course, there's the emotional process that comes into play. And by the way, we are doing the Miami Winter Summit, although it's now spring, so it's a bit of a misnomer. We're doing the so-called Winter Summit in spring on April, what is it? It's the 15th, April 15th through April 18th. So in a mere 3 weeks, we'll be gallivanting about Miami, Florida, myself, my good friend Julian, my good friend Owen, Madison, Luke, all of your favorites, including this other weird fellow we now have named Marcel. I say weird because he spells it in an unusual way, who can hypnotize you into believing you are a chicken, who makes money or something. And who hasn't desired to become at some point? To stop the passage, what is this? To stop the passage of, arrest the free action of, extinguish, deaden, quench. What? Unstifled. PsychoCybernetics. That's a great book, by the way. Is that a Malcolm Maxwell, I want to say? April in Florida is winter. How the hell are you supposed to walk on eggshells with all the masculinity shaming? Look, man, you got to get off there some shit, right? Because when I'm out there, I don't see any masculinity shaming. I mean, what are you basing this on? Are you basing this on experience, or are you basing this on, again, on 4chan? I read it on 4chan/B. Right? Now look, don't get me wrong. I visit 4chan from time to time, particularly to harvest spicy memes. They do have the best memes. I will give you that. But again, you spend too much time in these bubbles, it can warp your fucking brain. And look, everything must be field tested. You got to look at reality, right? Nothing has fundamentally changed in terms of biological imperatives and how attraction works, right? And what makes people like someone. None of that has changed. Like, you think that some bullshit cultural shift, like, again, do you understand how, like, ephemeral these things are and, like, fleeting these types of things are? It's like, oh, in the last 4 years, there's been a cultural shift. I guess this renders null and void millennia and eons of evolutionary biology because someone on the internet said XYZ on Twitter, they don't like it. It's like, bro, go outside. Just go outside. Go outside. Go outside. Okay? It's unhelpful. Any tips to practice socializing by yourself? Socializing by yourself. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Socializing by yourself. Now, yeah, this is very interesting because I think that by, necessity, we were, myself and my colleagues, we had to come up with, some, again, like for the past year, we've been doing mentoring programs digitally over Zoom and stuff like that. And at first, I myself questioned the efficacy of such, the medium, And it took a while for us to, at least for me, I can only speak for myself. It took, like, I'd say a few months for me to learn how to be effective in teaching over that medium. But I was like, okay, how do we teach this? Now, yeah, you can't actually teach actual interactions, but you can exercise the ability to vibe. In other words, we can exercise the ability to push energy through the face, the voice, the body, right? Through the vocal tonality, through the language musicality, through the facial emotional expressions, through gesture and physicality. And really, again, most of the exercises that we do in the Charisma Mastery, or the mentoring program, are diagnostic, right? So we're putting extra demands on the external communicators in order, and again, this sounds very technical, but really all we're doing, making a lot of fucked up faces and, speaking with a large range of language musicality and exercising gesture and movement in order not so you can be this clown when you're out and make these fucked up faces or something, although you could if you want. Owen would. Not so you can do that, but so we put the extra demands, which causes the tensions to become extra as well. Because most of the tensions that you have surrounding, emotional expression and vibing, they're usually below your threshold of awareness. You're not even aware they're there because you've deemed them to be useful and necessary for so long, right? It's just faded into the back. It's like background noise. So you might not even you're likely not even aware of it. And again, these tensions are always there. This so-called entanglement is the human condition. And if you add the volatility of human interaction into the mix, those tensions are going to be activated, right? And this is why you can talk with your close friends free and clear and clean, and you have that uninhibited flow of energy, and you can just riff off the cuff, and you're not you're not second guessing your intuitive suggestions of things to say in the moment. So you can crack a joke and have the timing hit and all, and you just feel unstifled and free. But then you go out and you want to go speak to somebody that you don't know. Maybe they're in a group. Maybe there's this, and again, your mind is like, doing this might be potentially dangerous to me. It might make me seem stupid or silly or aggressive or pushy or XYZ. Therefore, I need to shut this down with some kind of control interference pattern. And those control interference patterns usually involve, again, physical tension. It could be anything. It could be neck, shoulder tension. It could be breath holding. It could be what we call facial armoring. It could be weird finger activity. It could be shifting from side to side. It could be abdominal tension, locked knees, locked ankle. I mean, again, the main tenet of Charisma Mastery stuff is tension is the enemy. However, the corollary to that is its removal is complicated and unpredictable and can cause changes in other parts of the system. So again, like to answer the question again here, so how can you actually practice so when you do go out and interact, even if you're solo, you're going to have an improved ability to vibe? It's through a lot of these. I mean, we have like 60 different exercises we do in the mentoring. But understand as well, there's a big difference between exercise and performance. Big difference. And the analogy that I love to use is, you might have, like, say you have a football player. He might lift weights in the weight room. They might run through tires on a grid on the field. He's not going to do either of those things in the actual football game. But both of those things are going to improve his ability to perform in the game, right? So again, just making these fucked up faces or reading these monologues in these weird sort of like ways, or adopting different, character walks or diction styles, or working with arbitrary attitudes, for example. What you say, what's that? Let me show you. So, we'll have, for example, we do a lot of work with emotions, because a lot of people have what we call facial armoring, where they're not like completely deadpan per se, but like I said, the face, it's the mode through which we send the most personal and kind of open, vulnerable messages. And these messages can seem threatening to the sender. They can seem threatening to you, especially if you're somebody who's been kind of guarded in your communication your whole life. So, we'll work with like these so-called arbitrary attitudes where, we'll go through, we'll have you, do it in a frightened way, do it in a horrified way, do it in a defiant way, do it in an eager way. And again, your face, voice, and body, they all have intuitive understandings of how to express these things, right? We've all felt eager at some point. We've all felt loving at some point. We've all felt dull at some point, et cetera, et cetera. But by using these, again, it's a message being sent to the face, the voice, and the body, and by exercising the ability, and we'll do these completely exaggerated in like a completely cartoonish way, maybe while doing other things as well, because we want to kind of juggle and coordinate all the various skills involved in vibing and emotional expression. So the thing is, look, you want to think of it like this. There's two sides to the coin of social interaction. On the one side, you've got the vibe, right? And I like to think of that as a vertical expansion of feeling, a vertical vibe expansion. And then simultaneously, you have this horizontal plot development, right? So a lot of people, I think that traditionally there's been a lot of emphasis put on, an overemphasis put on the plot development, because they're like, okay, what's the technique? How do I get from A to B? How do I get from open to the sale? How do I get from open to the close, to the pull, whatever you want to call it? And so they're like, okay, what are the techniques involved in that, right? But there's been almost no emphasis put on that vertical vibe expansion, because it feels like it's not going anywhere, right? With vibe expansion, it just feels like, okay, I'm creating a good vibe, but where's it going, right? It just seems like I'm kind of like reveling in this narrative stasis where it's not moving forward. So how do I, okay, so that's not as important, but the thing is, they're equally important. Because I've always said this, the number one thing, if you want to be good at this shit, the number one thing that you need to learn is the command, hey, look here. Look here. To slice through that person's RAS, that is again, processing all of this information in the environment. It's processing the lights, the noise, the music, the alcohol, the drinks, the friends, the dancing, whatever's going on. Let's say, and that would be, in that example, it would be a nightlife environment. And now you're going to go up and be like, hey, no, none of that is as relevant as this. And you need to keep looking at this and and this is fascinating, this is interesting, this is compelling, this is outrageous, this is shocking, this is different. Something's going on here that demands your attention. And how do you do that? By understanding on a deep intrinsic level how to create a vibe and how to shape that vibe. And again, you can get very, very nuanced. You can become a master of this stuff, where this is why you see like people you consider to be very good at this stuff can go up and just with like a raised eyebrow, have people be like, who are you? Who are you? Again, you see an instructor come in very often, like the student's like this Melquitose motherfucker who's just like, oh, what's up? Hey, what's up? What's up? And then an instructor might come along and just be like, good evening. Like, and just something very, very subtle like that. They're like, who the fuck is this? Oh shit, the vibe's different. The vibe is different here. Now again, I think that vibe, it's such a nebulous term. That's one of the reasons why people have eschewed it, and not really given it its due, because it's not logical. It's just, again, but if you really think about it, it is, because we've all heard that phrase, 90% of communication is nonverbal. If that's the case, it seems pretty fucking important. How come we've never investigated this? And the thing is, like I said, if you want to go talk to your neighbor about the neighborhood watch or the trash cans or some shit, that doesn't require special skills, right? But if you want to be an elite level communicator and you want to be able to control and shape and mold the vibe of the situation, like a maestro, like the best that ever did it, then it would stand to reason that you'd want to investigate every variable that goes into that type of communication. So that's what we do in the mentoring. So by the way, I just want to pop. Let me see what else we got here. I have posters of chickens with diamond jewelry on my walls. Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, this is interesting. What's the point of doing anything if there's always someone better than you that they trade you for and nothing matters? Nothing else matters. Dude, I'd suggest you investigate or maybe read Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus. That's one of my favorite essays, I guess you'd call it. Look, if you follow my stuff for any length of time, you know that I identify with an absurdist philosophy, which states essentially that there is no meaning in the universe. None of this shit matters. Entropy rules. The universe will die a heat death eventually, and nothing that ever happened will ever have mattered. Okay? However, the difference between the nihilist is like nothing matters, but the absurdist is like nothing matters. Right? That's kind of the distinction. There is no meaning except the meaning that you make for life. And even that doesn't matter, but who gives a shit, right? Subjectively, your meaning is real, right? So that would be my response to that. Jeff, do you do anything specific to expand your vocabulary? Yeah, I just read a lot. Honestly, I just read a lot. And when I was growing up, I would read the dictionary. I always found it fascinating how there's a word for like literally everything, right? There's literally a word for every conceivable like nuanced thing that you could imagine, like shade of feeling. And so I would read the dictionary when I was a child. Didn't have a lot of friends. Still don't. Please be my friend. Please, please be my friend. So, look here. Yeah, just woke up here in New Delhi, 5 a.m. club. Yeah, I got one of my housemates here. He's from India, and he very often will stay up quite late in order to watch the cricket games. And resting psychopath face. Will you write a sequel to Nine Ball? Probably not. Here's the thing. I may or may not. You don't look. As a writer, I don't think you write anything because you want to. You write because you have to, right? Because you must, not because you should. Because you must. You are compelled. Because it's not fun. I'll tell you something. It's not fun. Writing is not a fun experience for most people. By the way, I saw a funny tweet today. And it said, what the fuck did it say? It said something like, the best thing about the pandemic is I haven't been touched on my lower back by a creepy dude for a year. Because I'm always talking shit about people putting their hand on the lower back. That's like literally the worst conceivable move you can do. To the extent where I now, if I see a client doing it, I will karate chop his hand off. I'll go, hi-ya! I will like karate chop his hand off the back. And it's funny because you'll see the person he's talking to, the girl will be like, what the hell? Like something kind of violent just happened. But then she'll be like, well, whatever it was, it made him stop doing it. So, okay. And they just like accept it. And then, because maybe they liked the guy, but then he did the creepy hand thing, which in and of itself isn't a terrible thing. But it's just it is the go-to move for drunken creepers. And as such, it has acquired a negative connotation regardless of whether they like you or not. So if that's the last thing you take from this, it's just don't do it. How you doing? What's up? Yeah, it's funny. I always ask, when I ask students, I'm like, yo, I'm like, what do you do? I'm like, what's your opener? Like, what's up? I'm like, look, here's the thing. What's up could work. It could work. I could make it work. Owen could make it work. you, sir, are not on that level yet. Like, you need something like different because your vibe isn't there, right? So look, this is very fascinating. I always find this utterly fascinating. This idea that individual choices gain power in direct proportion to the larger field of choice potential surrounding them. So when a student goes up and he goes, "What's up?" That's the only thing he can do, right? That is the only thing that he can do. So it doesn't have a lot of power. They can sense, okay, this guy's treading water. He's desperately treading water. He can't, this is all the dude can do. However, if myself or Owen were to go up and be like, "Hey, what's up?" They can sense like, oh, okay, they're making a proactive choice to be more, kind of on a state of repose here. And they can sense there's this ability below the surface to perhaps go higher energy, lower energy, whatever the case may be. For fuck's sake. Yeah, sorry, we're having some connectivity issues here. So I have downgraded to 1080. I am going to have to jump off here pretty briefly, although is 30 too late to learn? Yep. Pack it in, boys. Time to cut your dick off. Cut your dick off with a cheese grater. Like at the Olive Garden when they say when, just put, except it's not cheese, it's your dick. And put it on a salad and just eat some shaved dick on your salad. No, it is not too late. It's that's quite early, in fact. It's quite early. See, again, here, look, obviously, I'm treating that with kind of a facetious answer, but I guess a lot of people, they believe this stuff. I'll tell you this, I'm doing some good work. Let's just leave it at that. I'm putting in some good work, and I'm 45 years old, son, so no, it is not too late. Yeah, a joke. Yeah, so let me just put a disclaimer out there. That was a joke. I am not advocating that you remove your genitals with a cheese grater, nor am I advocating that you go to Olive Garden, for that matter. Although when you're there, you're family. That's what they say. I'm sure that it's true. And my mom once bought me a gift card to P.F. Chang. And that's a real mom gift. We were at the mall one time, and she said, "Let's have lunch." And she said, "Where do you want to have lunch?" I was like, I don't know, P.F. Chang. And so then, apparently, in a typical kind of mom fashion, she's like, Jeff loves P.F. Chang. Let's get him a gift card to P.F. Chang. And, I used to suggest to dates that, like, where should we go for the date? Well, my mom got me a gift card to P.F. Chang, so we should probably go there. And, when you're there, you're family. How you get laid in Bussie's situation when she is working at her business, for example. For fuck's sake. No, I mean, can I still change and learn as much as 30 as at 20? Yes, you can. Look, obviously, I'd say the ideal age range to start learning this would probably be between 25 and 35. Before that, I feel like people are a bit too embryonic in their development. And I mean, it's fine. I mean, obviously earlier could be better if you avoid falling into the trap of like becoming obsessed with this shit and making it your fucking life. And it's your identity. It's your identity now. However, after 25, you kind of like know what you're about, and you're not going to be as prone or susceptible to that kind of thinking. But then, of course, the opposite can hold true as well. Over a certain age, you might get a bit calcified and set in your ways. In other words, the defensiveness, like a lot of these like older tension addicts that I work with, they've had a lot of time to rationalize, why they're doing these things. And so when you point out, the blocks they're having or when they're doing stuff wrong, quote unquote, they tend to have very elaborate defenses that they've built up over time, very elaborate rationalizations, and they defend it as choices they're making. No, this is a choice that I'm making. This isn't some default block that I have. This is a choice that I'm making, and here's the reasons why, and right? So it can be a bit more difficult for them to let go of that identity, because even if your identity sucks, well, it's still an identity, right? So again, there's no time like the present. There is no time like the present. So again, I'd suggest you get on one of these live programs while we're still doing them. And I know that sounds like some kind of fake scarcity marketing bullshit, but let's face it, as much as I love them, I am 45 years old and I can only do this shit for so much longer. I can only be running around the clubs like on my 50th birthday with these kids and shit. But yeah, so again, I'm going to post a link in the chat here or in the description here below. Also, mentoring is hot as shit right now. We got a lot of really cool people in there who are and I love working with people who are in it not just for the social, the socialization aspect, for the pickup aspect, but also for business. We have a lot of guys in there who are in sales. We have a lot of guys in there who work as coaches in other areas, like the basketball coach, and some other guys in there who are simply influencers who want to learn how to be more charismatic on camera, stuff like that. So, do you think natural confidence comes from genes or successful social experiences in youth? Well, what really you're talking about is nature versus nurture, and you're also talking about epigenetic expression. So I think it's a combination of both. Fiction is very important, and yeah, I like this. Nonfiction, yeah, fiction. Wallace himself said fiction is about what it means to be fucking human. Right. So, but yeah, looking forward. I'm very fired up to get back into reality, to get back into 4-dimensional meat space with large dong, and work with people. And sorry, where are the deleted videos you had on your channel? They are on a hard drive that I have sitting right here. But yeah, in any case, very excited to get out there with large dong, get working, and if you want to see those videos, you're gonna have to come on program. That's the only way that you're gonna conceivably ever see those. So again, boot camp, hot off the presses. Hit the link in the description if you want to come to Summit, if you want to do a boot camp, if you want to talk about working with me personally. I'm mentoring over an 8-week period. Hit that description and we will get her done, as the hillbillies say in the southern part of the United States. Now, having said that, thanks for watching. I'm going to be back probably on Thursday with yet another hot as shit live where I'm going to mock you and make sarcastic comments about your writings. And I'm going to straighten my mullet for the next one. And by the way, does anyone have, before I go, I'm really terrible with, well, I'll be doing CM Live in Europe. Yeah, when they let Americans back there. I'm very excited to get back to Europe, but whenever they allow us filthy Americans back there, I will see you. But having said that, I'm terrible with titles. What's a good title for this live, do you think? Best one wins. Best one wins. Let's see who can think on their feet. Well, okay. I'm just going to call it something else, something stupid. So, all right, very well. Can we karaoke in Paris? Yeah, I have not perfected a Biden impression yet. I am going to Florida with Julian and Owen. Like I said, Strange Man Rants. Yeah, that's a good one. Strange Man Rants, Part 37, The Chronicles of Narnia. Okay, so so again, you want to come to Miami Summit on April 15th through 18th. You want to take boot camp. You want to get on the mentoring program. Hit the link in the description, and I'll see you there. Thanks a lot, and I will talk to you very soon. Peace.